Great demonstration.
Thank
a
you.
lot of stuff involved
Thanks,
there. It was really impressive. I liked everything that was going on in there, and some of the moves you used, and the techniques were excellent. I'm going to use them. They were great. What's the philosophy behind a lot of this stuff? I mean, obviously.
Well, one of the things that I find is a problem with a lot of instructors, as far as like recruiting students, is there's a major dilemma. One, have to deal with the immediacy of self-defense. You know, a student comes in, he wants to be able to defend himself, you know, next week, you know, if he's coming out of his job
like
or something
said earlier,
like that.
yeah, coming out and learning to move next day.
It's, you know, so he has to deal with the immediacy of self-defense. In a sense, you know, almost assure the student that he will be able to utilize some techniques almost immediately. But at the same time, the instructor has to instill the attitude of 5 years from now or 3 years from now, whatever,
exactly,
you will be 3 times better or 10 times better. You know, so there's that factor of the immediacy of self-defense and progressing through the martial arts.
And the realism that those moves won't be instinctive, but it's going to take a little time for that.
Exactly. Yeah. And even so much as, you know, you may be able, you know, some people have good physical attributes and may be able to pick something up, but I would like to ensure that person that, hey, you're pretty good now, but imagine what you'll be like 5 years from now. You know, so if you can visualize yourself training and saying, you know, 5 years from now I should be 5 times better. 10 years from now, 10 times better.
That's a great goal to set for yourself.
It is, and really I think that's the most important thing about martial arts training is all those benefits that you read about in the yellow pages, discipline, organizational skills. Those things are great, but those are just benefits. The primary thing is you're training for combat. You're training for self-defense.
Which is the realism of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And by doing that, those other things automatically occur. You know, you have to become organized. You have to, you know, set your priorities.
And confident.
Exactly. So it's not just another side benefit of martial arts training. You have combat, self-defense, fighting. These are the primary things you should be focusing on in the dojo.
Right.
And automatically those things fall into place.
That's why it's called a fighting art.
Exactly.
It's a fighting
martial art, you know, warrior way. And I like to think that I'm an example also of how the martial arts can influence other areas of life. You know, starting a business, starting a mail order business, you know, selling my, you know, products, something that I really enjoy doing, and turning it into a business. I mean,
right. And you put these things, and you put these ideas into your tapes that you have now.
Exactly. I try to encourage that in my videotapes, and you know, the whole idea of, you know, putting effort into something and really taking a chance, because I feel that I took some chances in life. You know, I was working in the corporate world, and you know, I said, here's something that I really like to do. And martial arts training gave me the, you know, the spirit and the motivation to stick with it, you know, and also the help of, you know, family and
which is what friends. You find a lot in your travels of talking to different martial artists, that they have used martial arts to get themselves to overcome other things, get them into other areas.
Absolutely.
I mean, athletes, actors, anybody, these people who've achieved a lot in life, a lot of them have a martial arts background, and it gives them that confidence to say, not only am I confident to fight somebody, but I'm confident to go out and get what I want.
And accept challenges.
Exactly.
I always try to tell my students after a class, especially if it was an intense class, we did a lot of conditioning, I try to say, I mean, although it may sound intimidating, I try to say martial arts training should be the hardest thing in your life, because then you'll look at everything else as easy. Like, I used to visualize myself when I was coming up through the ranks, I'm fighting my instructor who has maybe, you know, 20 more years experience than me, he's beating the crap out of me or whatever. And, you know, outside, I think, you know, I just fought like this awesome martial artist. You know, me speaking to a potential employer or something like that should have it should intimidate me. You know, those things shouldn't really affect me. You know, so I think the, you know, martial arts training really, more so than maybe a lot of people think, can strongly affect, you know, your outside.
It settles you down, it calms you down. Like you said, you accept the other challenges become a lot easier, as opposed to saying, oh my God, I gotta do this, you know, I'm gonna be nervous. You know, you accept it and say, hey, I've been through some pretty hard training.
Exactly.
This is gonna be cake.
I always try to say that, you know, the dojo, the martial arts school, is like a microcosm of life. Everything that like occurs, you know, in real life is occurring in some small way in the school. You come in, you're dealing with an authority figure, okay? You're dealing with higher students. You're dealing with people that you just joined with, so there's a lot of relationships there, a lot of interaction. You know,
you're taking on responsibilities too of helping teach other students when you get higher. So I mean, you're responsible for someone else's training sometimes.
Exactly.
So you're learning a lot of different things.
You hit it right on the head, because I think through martial arts training, you know, people will develop that sense of responsibility. You know,
and
like
people skills.
Exactly. Maybe I should start taking care of myself. You know, if I do that, maybe it won't help me in my class next week or something.
Exactly.
And that starts getting the ball rolling. You know, absolutely.
And seeing that, and you know, I see it in my students when they rise up, it's a good feeling, because I saw my instructor, and like you, I'm sure you saw yours, and then you finally became an instructor yourself, and And now you see yourself in that position, and you're seeing the younger student, you're saying, hey, I was there one time. And it makes you want to teach them more, because you're like, I want them to be better than me, which is probably what you want everybody, your students to come to you.
Because by doing that, you actually continue learning.
Exactly.
Because you'll see new things every day.
When, just because you're a black belt doesn't mean that your journey ends. That's just the start.
Well, that's why they call it the martial way. There's no end. It's not a means to an end. It's just a way, an attitude that you have towards life.
It's like the infinity symbol.
Exactly.
It just keeps going and going.
Exactly.
Which is great. That's why you hear these martial artists. It's so sad when you hear a lot of martial artists and they say, well, I got my black belt, I'm quitting. I don't do it anymore. And they don't realize it's like anything. You got to keep it tuned. You have to keep it fine-tuned and keep it moving and make sure it works, because it's not like you have automatic powers like Superman, I don't have to flex my muscles today, therefore my muscles will be there 10 years from now.
And it's not something that you can maintain either. My instructor always used to use an analogy of a mountain climber. Even staying in the same position requires so much energy.
Exactly.
It's not like you can just stay there and then, take it easy, ride the wave, so to speak.
It's constant concentration.
Just staying in the same spot. If you were to achieve a black belt level, to maintain that level, you still have to do a certain amount of training. If you want to progress, you have to keep doing a little more, a little more, a little more.
You have to work very hard.
Absolutely.
People don't realize the amount of work you put into martial arts. Into getting your black belt, that's why it's so sad that some people out there do get black belts because they were guaranteed it or something like that. But to really earn it, to really get it, is like such an accomplishment. And people
absolutely, it can be the greatest thing. It can be the greatest thing in the world. And it's just the beginning.
It is. It is just the beginning. And you and I are still learning. Like you said, everybody's learning. Even all the years, it's like you want to be 87 years old and doing this to somebody.
Absolutely.
You want to be the person that people come visit and say, hey, wow, he's 87 years old and he's still doing karate. And that's what I feel. It's a great deal. Like you said, the martial way. And that's what it is. It's taking that way and making it work. All right, great. Well, we're kind of out of time, as usual, because we have so much to talk about, and you've been a great guest.
Great.
We've learned a lot, I'm sure. And like every guest I have, I learn something every day. And even with all my years, I still learn. And what I like to do here is have the people educated by people like yourself.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I don't want to miss a show. I'm checking the cable channels every evening, when's Scott on.
We're going to have you back here then, though.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marco.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. Thanks for tuning in today, tonight actually, and it's been a great show. We learned a lot from Marco, and hopefully you learned a lot too. So kick back and we'll see you